Alright, looks like we're doing alright. We're doing fine. Just checking the stream health. Stream health is alright. I can't do anything with my hair. It looks awful. Can't wait to get it done tomorrow. So it's like properly. Ugh. I feel like I'm growing into society as the classic neck beard. I want to shave it, but my girlfriend swears up and down that she likes the way it looks. I don't know. You know, she's a professional artist, so I trust her judgment in aesthetics more than mine. But damn, I don't know. Josiah says first. First to what? Hey man. Just saying. Being first isn't always the the best thing in the world. But if you're first to a stream, then yeah, first. You wanna. I don't know what should people win if they're first to something like a stream. You know, I feel like that should be like a prize or something. I don't know. Acknowledgement, my acknowledgement. You get my acknowledgement and a cyber cookie. I imagine those would taste pretty good. Cause like you know you're in the Matrix. It's kind of like the Matrix steak thing. You know, you guys like watched the Matrix lately. Like the steak in the Matrix just tastes like way better than like actual steak. Yeah. I win your entire comics collection. How are we defining comics? Are we putting hentai in that collection too? Cause that's where I know I often say that comics are comics, but I'd make that distinction. Let me keep my hentai, bro. I gotta keep some of the things that keep me as a classy bitch. Just saying. Come on. Let a man keep his hentai collection. It's actually why why I was late to the stream. Not hentai, but I was like reading through some of my comics from this week, and I was like, oh wait, I have a stream to do. Actually, I got a lot of trades this week. I'll take it all. That's what she said. Let's see. Actually, how do I sound? Real quick, do I sound like I'm gargling razor blades, or do I sound like I'm a human being, or you know, legally 3/5 of one? Sorry, dark joke. So I sound all right. Let me share the stream too. While we're at it. While we're at it. What did you guys read this week? You know, I'm curious. Tell me what comics you read, nerds. Actually, a lot of cool stuff came out this week. We live. Come check us out. That's how this tweet's gonna go. It's gonna say, "We're live. Come check us out." But you have to say it in that voice. I don't know what kind of voice that is. Is that like a? That sounds like a Star Wars character voice, like a. If you think too deep about it, a racially offensive Star Wars character voice. Or you know what? That's not. You can make that a Reagan voice. Yeah, I'm Ronald Reagan, and I am the villain of The Dark Knight Returns. Everyone thinks that it's Superman, but it's actually me, Ronald Reagan. Hey. After I blow up Cortal Maltese, Nancy will give me the Gluck 9000. And then I get to destabilize the black community with crack. Oh, man. Loud and clear. Boom! Wait, I can clap better than that. There we go. That was a solid clap. Yeah. You can never be too critical of yourself with a solid clap. Supreme Omega. Hey, what's up, Supreme? How you living, buddy? Supreme says, I've been reading Star Wars Legacy by John Ostrander. You are my favorite viewer. I love you. Yep. Sorry, Josiah. Supreme gets the crown now, because they're reading Star Wars Legacy, and Star Wars Legacy is one of my favorite comics. And I love you, buddy. I love you. In my view, I miss the old pre-Disney Star Wars expanded universe. I hate that Disney rendered all of it non-canon. Well, that's kind of the problem when you kind of... okay. I hear you, and I feel you, and I was definitely in that camp for the longest time. But one of the things that I just had to, like, come to in my heart, like, in my soul, is that whenever a new Star Wars, like, film franchise starts up, all of the comics, all of the... video games, all of the expanded universe media, it gets wiped away. It gets New 52'd, if you will. Just so that whatever the movie does, the external media does not contradict the films, which are, the ultimate canon centerpieces. So, I mean, this has happened a lot. A lot of the comics from the 90s ended up getting just completely paved over when the prequels came out. And there's some cool stuff in there, honestly. Stuff that's actually just now being put back into print. Well, I think in the Tales of the Jedi Volume 2, the Marvel Epic Collections, which I think might end up being among the last of the Marvel Star Wars Epic Collections, because I think Dark Horse got the rights back to Star Wars a couple months ago. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that whole thing works out. But yeah, no, like a lot of that stuff from like the like early to mid 90s, as soon as the prequels came out, woo, gone. And some stuff came back, but as soon as you got like Knights of the Old Republic, which were really riffing hard off of the prequels, it just kind of became impossible for a lot of that stuff to stick around. Like a lot of the material, especially where like they play with the idea that a lot of the old like ancient Republic, not really Republic, this is like pre-Republic era Star Wars concepts. Like a lot of that ancient Jedi, ancient Sith stuff, it looks very like ancient Egyptian, which is very fitting because Jedi as a term comes from ancient Egypt. The Jedi were what the ancient Egyptians called their mystics. I think it was spelled with like a D, like DJEDII. Let me see if I'm speaking out of my asshole real quick. Just check the internet. Okay, so not two I's, but it is DJEDI or DEDI, which I think phonetically would be pronounced Jedi. Yep, I'm right. See, noted here, timestamp, whatever the fuck. 8:51. Mystical Green Meeting was right about something. See, I'm cultured. Even though I'm not wearing my beanie. I'm very cultured. But yeah, no, that's a lot of that stuff's really interesting. It is kind of a shame that it's like not canon, but still, if things being canon or not canon doesn't really bother you, I would definitely recommend checking out a lot of those old like 90s Star Wars, like ancient Jedi Sith Wars comics. They're like really interesting. Especially if you're like really into like the Dark Horse Star Wars stuff. I really hope that Shadows of the Empire gets put in print. Unless it is in print and I'm just being like an ignorant jackass. Maybe it is in print. Maybe it's that like New Republic stuff. under the Marvel Epic Collections. That's the thing I'm gonna have to like look into when I go to my local comic shop again. Yeah, Josiah says I'm currently rereading New 52. Good man, I love you. You get the crown back. Sorry, Supreme. Them's the rules, buddy. Upon revisiting, I'm starting to realize that it's probably my favorite DC comic of all time. Oh, 52, not New 52. 52. Okay, you still get to keep the crown, but a lot of that New 52 stuff is not that bad. But yeah, no, 52 is really great. That was a great series, and it also, at least for me, put Black Adam on my radar. That was a character that like I kind of knew who he was because just growing up, DC has all these like what the fuck are they called? Like the children's books. Yes. Why did I swear before I said children's books? That's weird. But they have all these like children's books. I used to love the Shazam, the Captain Marvel books. And I was like, how old would I have been? Like 8, 9. But yeah, when I read like 52, Black Adam was just plastered on my mind's eye when he like leads that one-man genocide in I think Bialia. By the way, he's on the Justice League now, just because everyone gets a redemption arc these days, I guess. Harley, Black Adam, waiting for the day that Red Skull gets a redemption arc. Just waiting for that to happen. Yeah, no, 52 is great. It also made me a big fan of Booster Gold. I used to think Booster Gold was kind of a joke. I mean, I still kind of think Booster Gold's a joke, but 52 is a great comic. And I also think Batwoman comes from 52, if I'm not mistaken. Well, not the Kathy Kane Batwoman, but Bruce's cousin, who's also named Kathy Kane. I think that was supposed to be a retcon that DC was doing, and then Grant Morrison just fucking ignores it. And he says, I'm going to bring all the stuff from the Silver Age back. Man. 52 is a great comic. I need to get that. Like in trade, or I mean that would be like an omnibus, wouldn't it? It's like literally 52 issues. Insane that it was 52 issues, by the way, and it was like consistently great with different writers. Lightning in a bottle, because they did try it again with Countdown and it didn't work. But yeah, dude, like, have fun, man. It's a great comic. Adam Cano, hey, what's up, Adam? How you doing? Adam says you can't destabilize the black community. We're already in disarray. We can't even read our black comic book characters, which is depressing. Very true, very true. Oh man. And we can't even get like black characters that don't have electricity powers of some sort. All of them have electricity powers. It's things you notice. Things you notice. Josiah says, "I'll get that crown back." Oh, well, you did, because you just said you're gonna get the crown back. Supreme gets it back. Actually, no, Supreme, you already got it. Adam gets the crown now. It's Adam's turn. It's Adam's turn to get the crown until Adam says something. OC. Supreme Omega says, but George Lucas took some influence from the expanded universe when he did the prequels. That is very true. He did take influence from the prequels. Other way around. He did take influence from the expanded universe. Because I think Coruscant comes from the 90s comics, right? Like Dark Empire. I think. I'd have to like go back and reread those, which I would if I still had them. That was the perfect time for me to do like the Timmy Turner's dad Um, not doing Timmy Turner's dad. That'd be weird. Unless he's into that. I don't know. But, you know what I mean. But yeah, no, I wish I still had those comics. Those are really fun. Adam says, I remember I read the Star Wars Legacy comics before I watched the movies, and Boba Fett is my favorite character. Yeah, he's really cool in the Legacy comics. As well as the Legacy of the Force books, which I'm not sure if I've said this here before, but the Legacy of the Force books, I really enjoyed them as a kid. Boy, those books are long as shit though, and I really don't know if I can recommend them to people, because they are long in the tooth, and I think it's like 7 books. They really only need to be like 4. Yeah, like they were padding them bitches out real hard. But yeah, no, Boba Fett's like awesome. Adam also says a hot take. 52 was Jeff Johns' best work. His stuff on Black Adam was remarkable. I agree. And he's one of the rare occasions where I was wrong, in which characters develop and were consistent. Sorry, I feel like I stroked out for a second, so I'm just gonna read that whole thing again. Hot take: 52, but 52 was Jeff Johns' best work. His stuff on Black Adam was remarkable. He's one of the rare occasions where I was wrong, in which characters develop and were consistent. Oh, are you saying that as in like you don't think that characters can develop or stay consistent? I don't know. Just clarify that for me. I'm confused. Guys, I'm kinda retarded. Please clap if you got that reference. And that reference I made after that reference. Supreme says, on Marvel, you read classic Thunderbolts comics by Busiek and Bagley. I have not, but I want to. That's on my list. I've been reading it, and it's really cool. Thunderbolts work better as the Villain Redemption Squad, not as Marvel Suicide Squad. Yeah. Now, granted, I don't know a lot about the Thunderbolts outside of what I read. I think it was that like 2016 series, when Bucky got back from being the Man on the Wall, because Marvel doesn't know what to do with Bucky after him relinquishing that title of Captain America back to Steve. Even though, in my opinion, it still should have gone to Sam first and foremost. That's a whole weird thing too, by the way. It's funny, I see like a lot of people now freaking out about Sam Wilson being Captain America, which is just so bizarre to me, because maybe it's just because I'm old now, but I remember back in like 2007 or 8 or whatever the fuck Captain America died, a lot of people were like, okay, so Sam Wilson should be Captain America now, right? Because he's Steve's closest friend. And then it went to Bucky, which, okay, makes sense within the context of the Ed Brubaker run on Captain America, because Brubaker was very clearly laying the groundwork for Bucky being Captain America. It's just within the context of the larger Marvel universe and the tapestry of Steve Rogers' character within the Marvel universe, and what Sam Wilson means to Steve, and how they have this like respect for one another. I just always assumed that the shield should go to Sam in the first place. So when it finally did go to Sam, at like the end of Rick Remender's run, which I really like in his painfully underrated. I was like, hey, cool, better late than never, right? I still don't know why I went to Bucky. I mean, I do know why I went to Bucky, but like, I still don't know why I went to Bucky. If you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I don't know. What was I saying again? Sorry, ADD brain. Oh, but yeah, we were talking about the Thunderbolts. Yeah, no, dude. I think making the Thunderbolts just Marvel Suicide Squad is potentially lame as fuck. They definitely do work better as a redemption squad for Marvel villains or anti-heroes. Who do you think should be on the Thunderbolts? You know, so like, what's your ideal Thunderbolts roster look like? And is Punisher on that list? Just asking. Black Adam and Captain Cold were my favorite characters Johns actually reworked and were his best. He made Hal boring, Batman an incompetent dick, Barry a Gary Stew, and tried to make Wally like Barry. Nah, I agree with that. Jeff Johns is like a mixed bag of when he's great, he's great, and when he's fucking up a character that you really like, you just gonna have to take that in the ass, bruh. You just gonna have to take that L. It sucks, but like that's how it be, man. Like damn, like I really like a lot of the really interesting stuff that Jeff Johns does with the Justice Society. I like a lot of the new characters that he introduces to the Justice Society. But then he turns around and undoes one of the best like hero turned villain arcs in comics. Like Hal Jordan worked fantastic as the Spectre. I thought that was a fantastic status quo for that character. And then just making him Green Lantern again, it's just like, okay. But again, you know, even though I'm not a fan of it, still very impactful. And his legacy on Green Lantern just cannot be denied. It just can't. He's done a lot with that corner of the DC universe, and it's iconic. It is iconic. The Jeff Johns material is iconic, and it's also the basis for my favorite, well, like one of my favorite, superhero cartoons, the Green Lantern animated series. So, which is also canon to Young Justice. So, just double thumbs up. I can't not give that a double thumbs up. What do you want from me? Fun fact, Sam was Steve's partner longer than Bucky ever was. That is very true. Marvel went nowhere with making Bucky Captain America. Also, who will wield the shield as a marketing trick was an awful name. Well, that's where I disagree with you, good sir. Who will wield the shield is pretty fucking amazing. It's a pretty amazing marketing name. I think it's way better than Battle for the Cowl. Come on. Shield, wield, it just kind of... I feel like Lana Rhoades. It just kind of rolls off my tongue right, you know? Just works. Just works, damn it. Oh, I think I missed like a couple chats. At least in DC at the time in the mid 2000s. Oh, you're talking about when when Jeff Johns was doing all that stuff with the. Yeah, that's the thing. Jeff Johns, I definitely feel like his early 2000s material is way better than a lot of the stuff that he does after Infinite Crisis. Because here's the thing I didn't really know about Jeff Johns up until a couple of weeks ago. Jeff Johns is not a comic book writer first and foremost. Jeff Johns is a movie producer first and foremost. You know, he worked under Richard Donner, the late great Richard Donner. Back when like he and his wife were trying to get the Marvel like films, like get those like really underway with XMen. And Jeff, that's why Jeff did like a lot of the Marvel stuff. You know, like Ultimate X-Men, a couple issues here and there, and the Avengers. And I don't know how Jeff Johns makes his transition over to DC, but a lot of his early DC stuff, it's weird. They don't feel like movie pictures. It just feels like a dude who likes comics writing comics. But then something happens after Infinite Crisis. And by something happens, I mean his Superman run, which is basically just him doing his pitch for what he would like to do for a Superman movie. And he just writes like 7 of those. Which, to be fair, a lot of those would make some pretty decent Superman movies. I think that first arc that he does, Last Son of Krypton, would be a pretty good Superman movie. It would have been a better Superman. It honestly would have been a better sequel to Richard Donner's Superman 2 than the actual Superman Returns film that we got. I also really enjoy Superman and the Legion of Superheroes. That would make a wonderful Superman movie. Even like not connected to like anything, just if you just made a Superman movie like right now, and you adapted Superman and like the Superman and the Legion of Superheroes, it would make a fantastic film. It would make a beautiful movie. Weirdly enough, I could totally see that fitting into the Zack Snyder verse. Would never happen, but I could totally see it happening. As would Brainiac, you know. So yeah, I know, but like that's the thing. Jeff Johns. I hear a lot of people kind of following the same complaints that echoing the same complaints that I've had for Jeff Johns' comics for the past couple of years. More recently saying, "Oh, all his comics are just movie pitches." Well, yeah, dude's a fucking movie producer. That's what he went to like school for, right? So like, yeah, of course he's a movie. Of course his comics are movie pitches. He's a movie producer. Yeah, I don't know. That's why. At least that explains why a lot of his comics have like a very cinematic feel to them. Adam says, I couldn't stand reading Johns writing Batman. Yeah, Jeff Johns, I don't know. Jeff Johns does not have a good voice for Batman. At least within the main comics continuity. I like Batman Earth 1 a lot, though. Volume 3 shits the bed, but the first 2 volumes are really good. And that's definitely a lot of the stuff that the latest Batman film by Matt Reeves is pulling from very heavily. It's basically just a straight up adaptation of Earth 1, with a little bit of the Scott Snyder 0 Year stuff in there, but Battle for the Cowl was an awful name. That comic epitomized why good artwork doesn't always save books. Yeah, Battle for the Cowl was not a great comic series. At the fuck all. I'm really glad that in the Grant Morrison. Do I have it up here? No, I think I actually have this. Yeah, it's in like one of my long boxes. But in the Grant Morrison Batman Omnibus, they just skip right the fuck over Battle for the Cowl. They skip over like 2 events in that omnibus. The Return of Ra's al Ghul and Battle for the Cowl, which were both just awful events. Just do not waste your time if you're gonna read those. Adam also says, I feel really bad for Johns where he spent a decade fixing Green Lantern only for the Green Lantern movie to come out with his name attached to it and the Lantern name got smeared again. Yeah. Also, I haven't seen the Green Lantern animated movie that just came out. But I've seen a lot of people talking about it. And apparently it, weirdly enough, shares the same exact problems as that live action movie. Bizarre. Tevye says hello. Hey, what's up, Tevye? How you doing, buddy? So what happened? Well, we're just being nerds talking about comics. How you living? What'd you read this week? Actually, dude, what am I talking about? Let me show you guys what I read this week, okay? All right. So, first things first. Boom. Rogues issue 3. This comic continues to be just absolutely fantastic. Joshua Williamson, it's so weird. His run on the Flash, I thought, was honestly kind of lackluster. It started out pretty good, but then just, I don't know, man, just. So when I heard that he was gonna do like a Rogues book, I was like, but then I read this. Or actually, I read the first 2 issues of this, and just holy shit, expectations subverted properly. This is a wonderful, like Ocean's 11 style heist comic with the Rogues. Williamson has a very deep love and appreciation for the Flash. Greater mythos spanning outside of the Speed Force, thank God. And also just the DC universe on the whole. There is some stuff here that kind of confuses me. I still don't know what the fuck Bronze Tiger is doing on the Rogues team. To my knowledge, Bronze Tiger has never really been a rogue, so I don't get that. I always associate Bronze Tiger with like the Suicide Squad or something, or Batman. Before I do the Rogues. But, no, this comic is still really cool. I love his take on Gorilla City. I love the artwork. Lemix is just, hold on, let me show you some of this art. Like, right here, like, it's just so kinetic. It's cartoony, but, like, in the best way possible. And it's funny because like I wasn't at first sold on the art in regards to the tone of what Williams was going for at first, but once this gets going, like I'm with it. It's a noticeably more gritty story, but it takes place still in the DC universe, so it's a little silly. I will say the most out of left field choice for this comic though, is not having Bronze Tiger be one of the Rogues, but having Gorilla Grodd be this like Al Capone style gangster. it's so weird. It's such a weird take on Gorilla Grodd, like one that I've never seen before. But I think it works for the story, you know. Yeah, no, I fucks with it. Like I legitimately fucks with it. This is a really good comic. DC Black Label's been killing it right now, man. Between Rogues, Aquaman Andromeda, Superman Space Age is coming out, I think in like the next 2 weeks or something like that. Batman the Imposter was fantastic. If we're gonna count Mr. Miracle as a Black Label comic, because I think that was like one of the books that was laying the groundwork for Black Label. Also fantastic. Black Label's been on it. Batman the Imposter, another Black Label book. Just I don't know, man. I think DC is really kind of they're stepping their game up, especially when it comes to like, you know, at least when it comes to the more experimental shit. You know, I definitely I gotta give them props. You know, they're really killing it with that kind of material. So yeah, man. Tavia says, when did the Green Lantern animated movie come out? I think it comes out next week or in the next 2 weeks, but it got leaked early and some people got to watch it. I love how the next thing that Tevye says is good after I've just said it got leaked. I read Dark Crisis Superman. It was meh. My comic shop didn't get it this week, but I think it's slated for next week, at least for release. DC's been so weird after they did the whole split where they release their comics on Tuesdays. Like, a lot of comic shops are just fucking confused, and I understand the confusion. So I think my shop's not going to get it until next week, which is really sad, but I saw that Chris Burnham's doing the art, and I love Chris Burnham. I've been like a fan of Chris Burnham since Batman Incorporated. And he's also done like a lot of stuff here and there that I've also really enjoyed. He did The Nameless with Grant Morrison, which was okay. If you're into like shit like Hellraiser, you know, just really violent, gruesome, just fucked up like torture porn, but also at its core about, you know, the horrors of the human condition and what we're capable of. One, Hellraiser might be up your alley if you haven't seen Hellraiser. But also, The Nameless. That comic is... Nigga, that shit's brutal. It's really brutal. And Chris Burnham is absolutely just grotesque with his art. And I mean that in the most wonderful way possible. But yeah, I've been a huge fan of Chris Burnham for a long time. I could, with Tom King writing this Superman Dark Crisis tie-in, I can only imagine how bloody and fucked up this book would be with Chris Burnham doing the art. I haven't seen it yet, but I bet there's a whole ass scene where like John Kent is like just bloody and beaten and battered in the most horrifying way imaginable. I guarantee it. I haven't even read the comic yet, but I know that's in there somewhere. I know it's in there somewhere. Speaking of comics that I do have, I showed this I think 2 weeks ago. I got it 2 weeks ago. But I didn't talk about it in last week's stream. But Girl Scouts by Jim Mayfold. This comic is really cool. I actually lent it out to a buddy of mine who read through it really fast. He's a really fast reader. But he was talking about how much he loved the story. And when we're talking about it, I mentioned that I hadn't gotten around to that part yet. In large part because just when I'm on the train, like going to and from work, I'm not really reading this comic. I'm just kind of vibing with the art while listening to music. Which the art in this is like breathtakingly beautiful. It's hard to explain. If you're really into like the Adult Swim style, like it's hard to put words to it. This book is like very kind of like punkish, but like in a like a 90s punk kind of way. It's really fascinating. There's a lot of like mixed media art here too. It reminds me a lot of like old school Jack Kirby. I mean, not the art, not like a lot of this, but you know, just the way in which Mayfood like mixes media and switches his style up page to page. It's very Kirby-esque. Do I have a Kirby book here? I have. Shit, where did I put my Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen? I was reading it the other day. Alright, I'm not gonna look for it, but it's over here. But yeah, no, like Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen by Jack Kirby also gets very like kind of weird mixed media, psychedelic, as well as Fantastic Four. So yeah, no, dude, like Girl Scouts, by Jim Mayfood. Again, I haven't read through the story. A lot of me reading this book is just me reading it by listening to music and just flipping through the pages, admiring the art. But yeah, no, this is really interesting. And I highly recommend checking this out if you're looking for something to get yourself into that's not Marvel or DC. Tevia says, interesting book. Yeah, no, I think it was really interesting. It was a really weird story. Oh, are you talking about the Dark Crisis Superman? I still want to check it out. Because I as it was kind of sold, or pitched, we actually do get to watch John Kent grow up, and that's something that I'm interested to see because that's what I feel like we were kind of robbed from seeing, you know. Toby says, I also read the Hellfire Gala. It was a bad shame. It was so bad. Same goes with Son of Kal-El, which is also a train wreck. Well, I mean, dude, you keep reading Son of Kal-El and you keep hating it. I don't know why you're reading it, buddy. Like, I'm not gonna tell you what you can and can't read, but like seems like a waste of like time and energy to like read comics you don't like. But I did end up checking out Hellfire Gala. I didn't read it. I did read it. I didn't buy it. But one of my buddies bought it, and I hung out with him because he like lives right around the corner from a local comic book store. And I read through it at his place. I kind of enjoyed it. I was really kind of soured on Hickman leaving the XMen line and just all the other stuff surrounding the XMen line, where House and Powers of X comes out, right? And just immediately I am super fucking excited because Hickman's just gonna breathe new life into the X-Men, you know? He's gonna consolidate everything into 2 titles, which thank fucking God, because that was one of the problems that the X-Men faced before House and Powers of X throughout that whole like 10-year period. After actually, even before Morrison, yeah, dude, just the X-Men don't need like 15 books. They really don't. They really don't need more than two. If we're gonna be honest. So like House of X, Powers of X, two X-Men titles running concurrently. I'm down. Jonathan Hickman is on board doing the X-Men. I'm down. And then after House of Powers of X comes out, we get the announcement that there's going to be 8 books spinning off. So very clearly, Marvel did not learn their lesson from past mistakes. And then Jonathan Hickman gets the axe in the middle of that whole what the fuck was it called? The X of Swords event, which I didn't even finish. I thought it was kind of boring. So yeah, no, like I don't know. I was just very jaded on the X-Men. Because a lot of the same people that I just wasn't a fan of who were writing the X-Men before Hickman showed up were still writing the X-Men. So I was just kind of like, whatever. But no, I really enjoyed the Hellfire Gala issue that just came out today. I thought a lot of the stuff that I didn't like or like wasn't quite sold on, at least as far as an ongoing status quo, actually paid off pretty well in this issue. I thought a lot of the stuff in regards to the X-Men's new status quo in relation to the other branches of the Marvel Universe were also very interesting. I read Gillen's Eternals when it first came out, but I might want to like go back and reread some of that because apparently Gillen's X-Men is going to overlap with a lot of what Gillen's doing with the Eternals currently. So I'm interested to see how that all works, especially with the relationship that the Eternals have, or not the Eternals, but the Kree have with Earth and their impact on human evolution, which is how you get the Eternals, the Inhumans, the humans, the mutants, and the deviants. All very fascinating stuff. So this issue of Hellfire Gala got me reinvested. So yeah, no, I'm gonna jump right back into a lot of that stuff. I thought it was really interesting. I did, on a personal note, as a Cyclops fanboy, my heart did break a little bit when I think Emma Frost is psychically talking to Scott, and you see Jean Grey dancing with John Hamm in the background, and Emma's like, "Does this make you happy, Scott?" And Scott just says no, but John Hamm is one of Jean's hall passes. It just, I felt so bad for Scott. Scott just needs to get back with Emma. That's where Scott's real happiness lies. Not with fucking. All Jean has ever done is break that man's heart and just make him feel utterly miserable. No, the real iconic duo is Emma and Scott. Those are the real lovebirds, not Scott and Jean. Jean is nothing but heartbreak for Scott. Because much like every redheaded female character invented by Stan Lee, Jean Grey's a fucking psychopath. Just like Betty Brant. Just like honestly, just like Pepper Potts. If you read a lot of those early Iron Man stories with Pepper Potts is a fucking lunatic. Yeah, no, bizarre. Like, I don't know. Like, a lot of Stan Lee love interests are crazy people. Something I started to notice in the past couple months. Um, I also thought the Spider-Man moment in Hellfire Gala was pretty fun and interesting. Um, I still don't know what the fuck's going on with Peter and MJ, but yes, whatever. She wanted to have kids and he didn't, I guess. So she got blacked and had kids on her own. Um, I've been talking a lot, and this chat's been moving. Supreme says, I wish Marvel, DC, and other publishers were better at collecting and reprinting their old back catalog. Well, Dark Horse is actually really good with reprints. Reprints. And they're really good at keeping a lot of their comics in stock and available. Sorry, I'm fat. I need food. DC's getting kind of better at it, but still not great. Marvel, I don't know what the fuck their printing plan is for graphic novels and trades and shit. The way they print their epic collections is just totally random. It makes no fucking sense to me at all. Tell me why. The first 2/3 of the first 3/4 of Dennis O'Neil's run on Iron Man is collected in the not Ultimate Collections, in the Epic Collections. But the last 12 or 14 issues aren't collected. It just goes from here's the first volume of the first run of Michelini and Layton's tenure, and then we have Denny O'Neil's run, and then we don't finish Denny O'Neil's run, and then we get the beginning of the second stint of Michelini and Layton's run on Iron Man. That whole conclusion of Denny O'Neil's run with the Ironmonger story, it's not collected. What the I don't understand. I don't understand Marvel's logic in the way they print their comic, in the way they print their trades, at least. Dude, I've been waiting the past 4 years for Volume 2 of the complete collection of Matt Fraction and Salvador LaRocca's run on Iron Man. And I'm just kind of giving up on that. I might just have to hunt that shit down in the old trades. Absolutely insane. Tevye says, I'm only reading Son of Kal-El to hope maybe it gets better. It won't. I know that Superman's a character who's all about hope, but at this point, abandon all hope, ye who opens Tom Taylor's Superman Son of Kal-El comic. Because you ain't gonna find hope in that bitch. Supreme says, on the Avengers, the reason why I like classic pre-Bendis Avengers is that it was I read that it's decent at first, but the word decadent is much more fitting. It was a decadent primetime soap opera like Dallas or Dynasty. Been reading the Yellow Jacket saga by Jim Shooter and Roger Stern. Yeah, dude, a lot of that old Avengers stuff is just straight up just trashy in the best way possible. Just trashy celebrity soap opera drama. And that's a large part of why I like a lot of it. I really like the Kurt Busiek years. I think there's the perfect blend of superhero punchy boom boom action, but also a lot of that like red carpet like super celebrity bullshit that is just kind of inherent to the classic Avengers. Um, yeah, no, I think Kirby Busiek's run is also great. Um, and it was great for just like jumping into the Avengers, I feel. Um, the X-Men only need one book. Amen, brother. Fucking right on, brother. Uh, that's a weird ass song that I just referenced. It's like from a rapper in Florida. I can't remember the name of the dude though. Supreme says, "Are you interested in reading the classic 1980s Roger Stern Spider-Man run with beloved stories like The Kid Who Collected Spider-Man and Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut and the Hint?" I read that as the Hentai Collection. Forgive me. That's my fault for being a broken piece of shit. And the initial Hobgoblin Saga. Well, to answer your question, yes, I would love to read a lot of those comics. In fact, a lot of those comics I've already read, because my dad collected a lot of those, and a lot of my cousins have collected some of those. So a lot of that stuff is just comics I've already read through family members. But hopefully I can like get collections of my own and just kind of like read those at my own pleasure instead of having to like read through them like super fast and return them. Yeah, I would love to see some of that. I think some of those are already collected in trade. I could be wrong though. I'm still mad that Mary Jane got screwed over again, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan, and Moira controlling Mary Jane makes no sense. Oh, well, okay, well, it made sense within the context of the Hellfire Gala event. MJ is super famous. You know, she's not a content creator, but she's a model. You know, she's a supermodel, and she's a public. She's a very pretty public face. Of course, she would be invited to the Hellfire Gala, and yeah, no, I thought it worked. Personally, I thought it worked. Supreme Omega says, on the late 2000s Bendis Quesada era, I feel in hindsight decompression was a negative trend. Well, I hear where you're coming from. I will disagree with you though. It's the same thing that I have with like Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns and the Alan Moore's Watchmen. I don't blame Alan Moore or Frank Miller for generations after them learning the wrong lessons from stories like Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen and The Killing Joke and stuff like that. And just getting 15 and 20 years worth of just dog shit stories that are trying to emulate those comics very poorly. In the same way that I don't blame Bendis or Joe Quesada or Mark Millar and Brian Hitch and Alex Maleev for everyone trying and failing miserably to recreate the magic that made Bendis and Maleev's Daredevil, or Ultimate Spider-Man by Bendis and Bagley, or Ultimates by Mark Millar and Brian Hitch. I don't blame those guys for everyone after them for the next like 2 decades trying and failing to riff their style. I don't. That's the thing I used to do a lot. But it's not their fault, man. I you know, Is it Michael Jackson's fault that Robin Thicke's music fucking sucks? No. You know. I take that back. There's a few Robin Thicke songs I actually really like. But it's very clear that Robin Thicke is heavily inspired by Michael Jackson. Just like Usher is heavily inspired by Michael Jackson. On the X-Men, what is preventing you from really getting into the classic Claremont run? A couple of things. So, number one, Claremont's just very wordy. And I'm sure all of those words are really good and flow together very well and form some of the most historically impactful narratives in the medium of comics. But it is very wordy. And I feel like I have to be in a mood to read all of that. And also just, I'm not inherently an X-Men guy. I like the idea of the X-Men. A lot of what people really latch on to with the X-Men is not the same thing that attracts me to the X-Men inherently. And a lot of that is just like, I love science fiction. I love really clinical, like kind of fucked up science fiction. And I like the X-Men as science fiction people. And I'm more interested in that aspect of the X-Men as opposed to like the more soap opera-y aspect of the X-Men, which is what Claremont is known for. I don't give a fuck about them pretty ass, like, you know, white people and the fucking, like, pretty ass white people problems. I hate to say it like that, but, like, you know, one of the things that really attracts me to Spider-Man is that Spider-Man is just really fucking down on his luck, and he's just trying to keep his head above water. And I'm so fascinated in the life and times of Peter Parker, because he legitimately does have a lot to, you know, be freaked out about. With the X-Men, from the offset, all of you are like straight up, y'all are movie stars. Y'all are all super sexy, with the exception of Nightcrawler. But there are some furries out there. Let's, you know, and they're gonna like what they like. I've seen a couple Bad Dragon collections up close and personal. So when Nightcrawler's like, oh, people don't like me, or maybe he's like that, I don't fucking know, but like still, when X-Men fans are always okay. Let me collect myself, because I got a little emotional there. Part of that is hanging out with a lot of X-Men fans, and X-Men fans just. I make fun of Superman fans for being like obnoxious and annoying, but X-Men fans just are Superman fans on steroids. Sometimes, like, just holy shit. So okay, that is also like part of the reason why I'm hesitant to get into the X-Men comics. Just the X-Men fandom just is so fucking annoying. Like, I get it, guys. X-Men is very impactful in, like, American superhero comics. Not arguably, I think straight up way more than, like, you know, Watchmen and, like, a lot of the Frank Miller and Alan Moore stuff. I think Claremont's X-Men is definitely something that people are, like, riffing off of heavy when you look at least some of the stories here and there that I've read, and a lot of the stuff that, like, comes after it, in, like, regards to mainstream superhero comics. Everyone's riffing heavily off of Claremont and Byrne's X-Men. But, like, Claremont and Burns' X-Men aren't the end-all be-all. It's not like, oh, this is the cream of the crop. Nothing else is better than this. Okay, a lot of my hesitation with jumping into the X-Men just comes from X-Men fans being obnoxious and annoying. I don't know. I just find the X-Men themselves to be also obnoxious and annoying. Like, all of you are, like, super attractive. All of you have, like, the powers of gods, and you live in this mansion, and you're bankrolled by, like, an old money aristocratic billionaire. And you still find time to bitch and moan. Look, I'm sorry that Sentinels got built to, like, kill you or whatever the fuck, but, like, at least Spider-Man has shit to complain about. You know? And when the Avengers are complaining about dog shit, I mean, yeah, the Avengers are, like, that's the point. They're, like, out of touch, like, super celebrities. They're the fucking Kardashians. Yeah, they're gonna... You read the Avengers to watch them engage in their, like, you know, ivory tower bullshit. I just find the X-Men to be just painfully annoying. So to answer your question, a lot of what's prohibiting me from getting into the X-Men is X-Men fans and just the conceit of the X-Men already. But once I get over that, I'm definitely I'll get into it. It's the same thing with Superman. Because I have the same problem with Superman fans. Superman fans are just fucking annoying. But if you can get past some of that annoyance, Superman comics are actually pretty good. So, yeah. Tubby says, speaking of X-Men, that reminds me, any opinion on that. Stop talking. The show just came out. Let's not spoil it for people. Let's give it a week, okay? Come on, Ted. Come on. But I did hear about it, and I do think it's bullshit. So I'll answer your question there. Debbie says, which is weird because Action Comics is amazing right now. No, the Philip Kennedy Johnson run on Action Comics is, like, phenomenal. Supreme says, the thing about the MCU and the comics is that Disney Marvel is really fond of cross-media synergy. Perhaps too much. Well, your perhaps is directly on the money. And I don't think it's like a Disney problem in particular. That's just a thing that Marvel's always done, you know. Peter Parker has organic webbing in this movie. Well, let's have a whole event centered around giving Peter organic webbing in the comics. Why? Who's asking for that? Who's asking for this? Oh, the X-Men have to have black costumes in the comics because they have black costumes in the movies. Granted, I like those black costumes. I think they look really fucking cool. But we see what you're doing, Marvel. We see what you're doing. Oh, we don't have the film rights to the Inhumans. No. We don't have the film rights to the X-Men, so let's just overhaul the X-Men and try to replace them with the Inhumans. I get that you want to have, like, your well-oiled machine as like a proper synergy engine. I think that was, like, part of Sana Amnat's whole plan to turn Marvel into a lifestyle brand, whatever the fuck that means. But, you know, it was part of her plan. Which, in all fairness, it's working. You know, Marvel's generating a lot of, like, revenue. It's just if you're a long-term comics fan, you just kind of fucking sucks, you know. But Supreme goes on to say, on Bendis's Ultimate Spider-Man, I feel Marvel learned the wrong lessons from the comic. They felt the only version of Spidey that worked was the hip teen version. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that because, I mean, Peter Parker was the hip teen superhero for like 20 years or something. You know, from like 1962 to 1982. Peter Parker's kind of he's the everyman. He's the person that like everyone like under 25 kind of like related to and like understood. So I don't know. I wouldn't put all that on Ultimate Spider-Man. Also, let's not lie. Peter Parker, if you like read a lot of those like late 70s, early 80s comics, that dude is fucking swagged out. That dude is hip as fuck. He is. Like with the turtleneck, with the bell bottom jeans and the leather jacket. You can't tell me my man wasn't a hoe. My man was hoeing. He was hoeing all across Manhattan. That dude, he had it going on. In fact, it's funny. I think in the issue just before Mary Jane comes back to New York, there's this girl who's at ESU. She's like one of the students in Peter's class because Peter's a teaching assistant at this point in time. She's in a very one-sided polyamorous relationship with her boyfriend. And her boyfriend is like apparently giving her a hall pass to fuck Peter. But her boyfriend's not happy about it. So he confronts Peter and he's like, "Hey man, just so you know, my girlfriend wants to fuck you and I'ma let her, but like, I don't like it." And Peter's like, I don't want to be involved in any of this. This is so bizarre. And then the girl comes to Peter's apartment and she's like, "Alright, we're doing this, right?" And then just as she's all on top of Peter, like, MJ opens the door and she's like, "Oh, am I interrupting something?" Like, dude, 70s Spider-Man comics are fucking wild. I love them. I want that shit to be collected because that is amazing. But I also, you know, want Spider-Man to go back to being a romance comic because I want to read about shit like that again. Because why the fuck not? I think it's great. Supreme says, aren't the Avengers also pretty people with powers too? Yes, but they don't play the Oppression Olympics, you know? And at least when they do, the writers are like self-aware enough to know that like, okay, these are like pretty people who are like lacking in any sort of, you know, sense of self-awareness. But it, okay, again, look, that I'm just, that's just my bias, you know, towards well, both my bias towards the Avengers and also just being fucking fed up with X-Men fans, who are all like, I love the X-Men, and the X-Men is like perfect, and it's the only superhero comic that matters because they're oppressed, and that makes for the best storytelling of all time. And the X-Men are the only superhero comics that ever mattered. Just, I'm coming into the X-Men with a lot of that baggage, so a large part of why I'm hesitant to get into the X-Men is just being annoyed by X-Men fans. Which, by the way, speaking about the Oppression Olympics, and the X-Men, people often ask, you know, that like fun kind of question, if you lived in the Marvel Universe, you know, do you think you would, where do you think you'd live? Would you live in like New York, or Would you live in New Jersey, or would you like any of the superheroes? First of all, if I lived in the Marvel Universe, and really, I think if you lived in the Marvel Universe, and not pointing at anyone in particular, just in general, just you in general, if you lived in the Marvel Universe, just like if I lived in the Marvel Universe, I think it's important to be honest with ourselves and say that there would be a very highly likely chance that we would all be mutant-hating racists. Because I know I would be. Oh, baby, I'd be just straight up, I'd be the Richard Spencer of the Marvel Universe. I'd be like fucking Ben Shapiro or some shit. I would have the Senator Kelly's right button on my fucking lapel at all times. I'd be one of those dudes walking around like, so let's just do the math here. The mutants make up, less than 10% of the Earth population, yet they make up more than 60% of the world-ending events and crime. Let's just do the math here. I'm just saying. These are the facts. These are the numbers. And there's a reason why the Sentinel program exists. And in the words of J. Jonah Jameson, those are the facts. And facts don't care about your feelings. Oh, I would be a hardcore. I'd just be a fucking hardcore anti-mutant racist. And I'm honest with that with myself. I would be. I fucking would be. And I think if you were a human in the Marvel Universe, you would be too. For just being honest with ourselves, you would be too. I would also hate Spider-Man. Spider-Man would just freak me the fuck out. Because, again, you have to understand, like, if you're... The reason why we love these characters and we're on their side is because we're reading these stories about them. And, we understand the nuances behind why they make the decisions they make, and how they reach the conclusions that they reach in their storylines. But from the outside looking in, you're gonna be like, why the fuck would this guy do that? Why wouldn't he just do this? Seems pretty logical to me, huh? Like, why doesn't Spider-Man just join the Avengers? Yeah, that definitely take the heat off of his back. But Peter doesn't join the Avengers because he hates superheroes. At least he does when he's like a teenager, which causes a lot of tension between him and the other superhero superhero community. So there's a whole lot of that shit going on. But just I don't know. If you lived in the Marvel Universe, you'd probably be terrified of Spider-Man. Between all this like weird information and misinformation about Spider-Man in the media, and just like weird shit that surrounds him, like a lot of weird, mysterious deaths, high-profile deaths, like like the Stacys and just several like random civilians throughout New York City. Like, come on. And the costume doesn't help. The costume, we like it because it's iconic, but again, if you lived in the Marvel Universe, and I've said this countless times before, if someone pulls you in a back alley and you got like 8 dudes like whipping out guns and knives and shit, and then like a dude in like a full body condom drops out of the sky, he's got like these giant bug eyes, and he's just saying random nothingness phrases while kicking people and punching people like 30 feet in the air, you're not going to be thinking, holy shit, Spider-Man's awesome. You're going to be afraid for your life. You're going to think, oh god, that J. Jonah Jameson guy was right. Spider-Man's a schizophrenic mutant and he's going to kill me in this alley. That's what you're going to be thinking. So, I don't know. Just being honest with myself, I would probably be like the civilian side character antagonist in like a Marvel comic if I actually lived in the Marvel Universe. Any opinion on the Battle of the Super Sons animated movie? Because for me, I'm super excited for that animated movie. It looks really awesome and everything that I've ever wanted, which I approved. Well, I didn't know you were like on the DC animation like board of approval, but you know, if I can just inch my way in there too, I'm gonna give 1, 2. If I had an extra set of hands, I'd put up 4 thumbs up because I'm really fucking excited for more Super Sons content. This looks like it'll be the last bit of Super Sons content that we get. So that's kind of bittersweet. But hopefully the movie performs well, so we get more Super Sons content within that line. Hopefully that would be really interesting. But yeah, dude, I miss the Super Sons, man. I just miss the Super Sons. I really feel like, and I'm not saying anything new here when I say this, but I really feel like when DC gave the green light to age up John Kent, that was just, you were leaving so much potential on the table that just, you fucked now. I just, yeah. Can't go back now, but damn. Any opinion on The Boys season 3 compared to the comics version of The Boys? Okay, so I've seen this trend recently where everyone just likes to say that The Boys comic is fucking dog shit, and it's the show that's the good stuff, you know. But okay, I don't know. I've read the entire comic series, and I'm watching the show actively, and I enjoy the show a lot, just like I enjoy the comic for the most part. But they are different, you know. It's not a matter of one being better than the other. It's just they're different things. They're doing different things. The storytelling is different. The intent is different. They're also born out of 2 very different decades with very different, cultural sensibilities and cultural norms. The Boys comic, it's far more irreverent than the show is, and that works for the comic in some ways better than the show, because the comic is kind of allowed to get away with some more kind of like wild, wacky shit that you just can't really adapt in the show, because the show takes itself, well, not too seriously, but it takes itself more seriously than the comic does, which is why you're probably never going to like get that whole thing with the Homelander clone in Black Noir. Spoilers for the comic, I guess. It's like fucking like 15 years old now, so like, yeah. But still, some of the like over the top, like insane shenanigans that the comics get into, just by virtue of being the comics, and with them being comics, they're a little more irreverent. You can get away with being a little sillier. They just do things that you can't really do in the show. It just like there's certain things that the comic gets away with doing because it also just comes out of a different cultural era. I think Huey in the comic is a really fascinating character. I like Huey in the TV show, but they are different characters. They're the same archetype, but just same, but different. Fuck. Now I lost my train of thought at the fucking risk of trying to make a dictator joke. But yeah, no. Huey, he's one of the things I think is really fascinating about Huey in the comic is that he is a constant victim blamer. You know, Starlight gets raped, and then she tells Huey about it, and his first instinct is to just push her away and say it's her fault. Like, that's a horrible thing to do to a person, but I think it's very interesting, especially in regards to some of the positions that Huey himself is put into as the comic series progresses. And like how Huey like learns more about himself and how to like handle situations and how to handle not judging people, and how to have like a little fucking empathy, which the show just doesn't do. And I like Huey in the show. It's just, you know, he is a different character. I don't know. I don't subscribe to the whole thing of, you know, the boys TV show is better than the comic because the show takes itself more seriously than the comic or whatever the fuck. No, I like them both. It's just they're doing very different things. So I don't know, that's my take on it. Toby says, yeah, trying to replace the X-Men with the Inhumans was always a bad idea. Yeah. I got nothing to add, but yeah. Supreme Omega. I wish the Inhumans weren't so hated by comic fans, especially X-Men fans, because the Inhumans have really cool stories, from the Lee and Kirby Fantastic Four run to the Paul Jenkins mini. They were Kirby's favorite creations, which is a damn shame, you know. I really like, I like the concept behind the Inhumans. I think they're really fascinating, especially if you go back and read a lot of those old Fantastic Four comics, as you were saying. I do have the Paul Jenkins run now. A buddy of mine who lent me this like massive ass comic collection, he had that in his collection, so I do have the Paul Jenkins Inhumans series now. I have to read it, but you know, I'm excited to get into that. But okay, the reason why a lot of X-Men fans hate the Inhumans, it really just comes down to that like weird business decision bullshit that that Ike Perlmutter was doing, where he's like, oh, what, we can't use the X-Men in movies? Well, then fuck it. What's the next closest thing? Inhumans? Cool. Get rid of the X-Men and let's just make the Inhumans the new X-Men. That's the real reason why a lot of X-Men fans hated the Inhumans. Let's like not kid ourselves. Like that's really it. Because I'm sure the bulk of the X-Men fan base had no fucking clue who the Inhumans were. If we're gonna be honest with ourselves. So, I don't know. And it's a real shame because the Inhumans are legitimately interesting. I think you can do a lot of really interesting shit with the Inhumans. But that fan base, I feel really bad for Inhumans fans. Just between all the bad faith that Marvel kind of generated around the Inhumans in trying to replace the mutants with them, on top of just taking the Inhumans and trying to force them to being the new mutants, even though that doesn't quite work out at all. And then, you know, some of the stuff that we were talking about with Miss Marvel, which I'm not gonna get into because I don't want to spoil that any further, potentially, for anyone who hasn't seen the show yet. But god damn, Inhumans fans, I feel for y'all. I really feel for y'all. Y'all are going through the struggle right now. Not even the struggle, the struggle. You know, with a K. Just damn it, dude. I'm sorry. On behalf of the entire Marvel fan base, I'm sorry, homie. Y'all don't deserve this. Tevi says, I still wish Marvel would let Peter and Mary Jane finally able to get back their marriage and have their daughter Mayday Parker. Yeah, but we talked about that. That's never gonna happen. Maybe in like a alternate universe kind of thing, but like in the main Marvel universe, that's never gonna happen, buddy. Oh, I still got like a couple more comics here. Okay, so, I also picked up Department of Truth Volume 2 today. I think I talked to you guys about Volume 1 when I first got that. I really like that comic a lot. Department of Truth is still like one of my favorite horror comics coming out right now. If you guys ever played the game Control, it's a lot like this. It's Men in Black, but like with, I don't know, centered around QAnon and shit like that. This is a comic fueled by 4chan, basically. I mean, you could like kind of write that on the cover, honestly. It's like a little review. Like, this comic is sponsored by 4chan. Or this comic's run by 4chan. Really good stuff. Also, apparently, this comic drove James Tynion insane. It's the reason why he's not on Twitter anymore. I think like one of the last tweets that he has is him saying that Twitter is like it's like an observation engine to control people's like thoughts and shit like that, or like monitor people's thoughts, which isn't wrong. If you're just gonna use common sense about it, then yeah, that's exactly what Twitter is. But apparently it freaked James Tynion IV out enough to just quit Twitter. I'm interested to see what kind of weird rabbit holes James Tynion writes himself down in writing this comic. The art is still absurdly fascinating and beautiful. Just one of the most creative things coming out right now. So honestly, if you're like really into like conspiracy theories and like weird cryptid shit, like SCP, like you watch the SCP videos on YouTube, you'd really be into this. I can't recommend Department of Truth enough to people. This comic is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'm glad that it's still running. I only have like one more comic here. Not a new comic by any stretch of the imagination, but Flash by Mark Waid, Volume 2. And I have Volume 1 right here. I can't Mr. Fantastic that bitch over here. Let's try it again. Nope, didn't work. Well, I have Volume 1 over there. Just take my word for it. And I have Volume 2 right here. Yeah, no, I'm just glad that I have these in my possession now. I have read most of Mark Waid's run on The Flash, but I haven't read all of it. So that's why I'm getting all of these, so I can hopefully read the entire thing. I don't know. I really like Mark Waid's run on The Flash. I feel like it is criminally underrated. Which is bizarre, you know, because everything that people love about The Flash comes from Mark Waid. You know, the Speed Force, Mark Waid, all the wacky time travel shit with Flash. Okay, so that doesn't come from Mark Waid. But Mark Waid does a lot of really interesting stuff with time travel here, especially in this story, The Return of Barry Allen. Also, the whole thing where Eobard Thawne is just like a pathetic fanboy piece of shit garbage starts here. It starts here, you know? Or at the very least, writers being self-aware about the Reverse Flash being a fanboy, like, hero worshipping creepoid piece of shit garbage that starts here. Like a lot of the stuff with like Wally West coming into his own as the Flash, and doing a lot of weird shit with the Speed Force, and like hyper time. Also, a lot of the development with the Flash's rogues, a lot of it starts with Mark Waid, man. Like Mark Waid's run is just criminally underrated. And yeah, dude, I don't know what to say. I'm really glad that I got Volume 1. I'm really glad that I was able to get Volume 2, because I think these are going out of print now. So definitely, if you don't have Mark Waid's run on the Flash, go to your local comic store, or like go on Amazon or wherever the fuck, and make sure to get these. Because I'm not sure if these are going to be in print anytime soon. But yeah, I'm really excited to get back into all of this stuff. And honestly, that's all the comics that I read this week. So yeah, let me get back to Le Chat. Dude, my fucking shoulder hurts. I don't know what I did. I think it might be the way I sleep. I lost my place in the chat. God damn it. I probably need like a moderator or some shit like that. Let's see. No, not that one. Okay. On Roger Stern, even though he didn't like the marriage, he wrote married Pete and MJ really well in Hobgoblin Lives. I wonder if that speaks to his talent, writing a status quo he did not agree with. Yeah, I would think so. Although a lot of writers do that apparently. Like for example, Grant Morrison he was not a fan of the status quo that writers like Chuck Dixon and Denny O'Neil had kind of gotten the character into by the time you enter the early 2000s. So he just makes his run about that, and about not liking that Batman is just like diet Frank Miller psychopath. So he builds a whole story around like rehabbing Batman into being more of like the sexy swinging swashbuckling, like old school, Denny O'Neil, like Neil Adams style Batman, from like the 70s and like the early 80s. I'm trying to think who else like wrote a status quo that they weren't a fan of. Always looking on my bookshelf when I do this. I also don't think Philip Kennedy Johnson is a fan of the whole like public identity Superman thing. But he's making it work. He's making it work really fucking well. And I'm actually very excited to see how Johnson kind of interprets Superman's interaction with the people of Metropolis. I'm very fascinated to see how that all works out. So yeah, no, like writers work on status quos that they're not a fan of all the time. It just comes down to like making it work. On Al Ewing, I feel like he's the only Marvel writer that feels like classic Marvel. Immortal Hulk feels like a classic 1970s Marvel comic. Well, okay, I wouldn't say that he's the only writer who feels like classic Marvel. I think that what's his face? He is like the his first name and last name start with the same letter. Christopher Cantwell. Yeah, Christopher Cantwell's run feels very 1970s inspired. It's not just the art, or like the retro armor. Like that whole run feels very 1970s in like the best way possible. What else? What else also feels kind of like old school Marvel? I mean, I guess Daredevil, but like Daredevil's one of those books that like always feels like a comic book and not like someone trying to like make a movie that's gonna fix the comics. Because Daredevil's a character who just always attracts quality writers. I don't know what it is, but Daredevil's just one of those characters that always, with the exception of that one run by Andy Diggle. And I like Andy Diggle quite a bit, but like that Daredevil run was just not good. But like outside of that, I can't really think of like a bad Daredevil run. But yeah, no. Al Ewing he's really good, but there's other writers who are bringing out like classic feeling stories. I heard the Jed MacKay run on Moon Knight feels very classic. I looked at that really hard in the comic book store today too. I just chose not to buy it because I had to buy this fucking expensive ass Flash comic. He was like, "How much was this bitch?" It's $35. I mean, it was 50% off, but still, like, I don't know. With my other comics, that was still a lot of money. Supreme says, the more I think about it, the more I don't like the MCU shows. I don't think the MCU shows are good at or even care about grounded street-level serialized storytelling that made characters like Kamala and Moon Knight work in the comics. Yeah, and okay. Well, this is when we kind of run into the whole thing with who is this made for, right? And I ask myself that question whenever I'm like watching or playing, or just engaging with material that is adapting comic books. You always just gotta ask yourself, okay, who is this for, though? And in the case of a lot of the modern MCU material, the thing with the MCU is that it's just kind of dwarfed Marvel Comics in every possible respect. So, with the MCU kind of like having its own style and having its own rules, I could totally see MCU fans who Marvel for them lives and dies with the MCU. I could totally see them being like fine with it, which is, I mean, it's not my Marvel, but my Marvel is, my Marvel looks like this. Well, I mean, this is DC, but I don't have any cool Marvel comics out here right now, but it's, but yeah, my Marvel is comics. It's not film, it's not TV, it's not video games, it's not all this other shit. It's comics. It's just these shows are made for the MCU audience. So I mean that's why I'm not really tripping over, all the weird shit that they're doing now. like making Moon Knight a fucking Power Ranger, or like giving Kamala Khan like cosmic space powers or some shit. Like, yeah, just it's not for me, you know. Toby says, I miss the Super Sons every day, and it drives me crazy that nobody wants to undo the damage caused by Bendis' nonsense. I don't think it's that people don't want to undo some of the Bendis changes. It's just I don't think you can. Because look at it like this: John Kent he's now been revealed as being bisexual, and you know that's kind of a big deal. You know, having Superman, the titular superhero, you know, his son, his legacy is LGBTQ. You know, like, what do you? Okay, if you undo that, you know, if you take John right back to being a little 10-year-old, that's gonna cause a problem, you know. Also, just enough time has passed with the status quo where, like, okay, you're just an unlikable adult now. Can't do anything else about that, just beyond not reading your book. Supreme says, on Garth Ennis, I feel like a lot of hardcore superhero fans unfairly hate him. So what? He hates the superhero genre. No big deal. Well, it is a big deal to superhero fans because, as we often joke about, even though it's not really a joke, superhero fans, they treat this shit like religion. They do. You know, my buddy Jack Genocide and I talked about this in our, I think it was like a 2-hour podcast where we were like just going deep in the whole concept of modern mythology and how comics, being modern mythology, kind of accumulate this like religious this kind of like religious like funk on it. Not that like religion is inherently funky, it's just building a religion around like corporate owned IP is kind of fucking funky. Just we're gonna be honest about it. That's why a lot of superhero fans take Garth Ennis and like a lot of these other creators like, you know, Warren Ellis and Andy Diggle and all those other guys very ultra seriously when they're like, no, my superheroes are great and perfect and you're the devil because you're in opposition to my heroes. It's creepy, it's kind of weird, it's very depressing, gonna be honest. But it is what it is, and that's why a lot of comic fans, I feel, unfairly malign Garth Ennis and a lot of his work. Also, Ennis wrote a really good Spider-Man story in Tangled Web. Apparently, Ennis has nothing but respect towards Superman, Spider-Man, and Wonder Woman. Well, I didn't know Spider-Man, but I definitely knew that Ennis has nothing but respect for Superman and Wonder Woman. Which always made me fascinated to see what a Garth Ennis Superman comic would be. I know he did that, it was a one-shot with Hitman in like the early 2000s. But yeah, I think that's actually the closest where we're going to get to seeing a Garth Ennis Superman book. Sorry. My face opened up. I had to get that vortex yawn out. Toby says, I found the boys comics to just be mean-spirited. I'm glad that people liked the comic series more than I did. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you like the fact that I like the comic series. However, I will give the boys show credit. It's doing, it's due because it's doing something amazing with the source material, and it's added new stuff that is very interesting. I think I can decipher what that means. Sorry, either I'm having a stroke or you were tired when you wrote that. But yes, I agree with what you said. Supreme says, on the more modern Inhumans push, there was some good stuff like Saladin Ahmed Black Bolt and Al Ewing's Royals. Yes, dude, those comics are really good. In fact, I remember a lot of like the Comicsgate crowd were like really pushing Saladin Ahmed's Black Bolt series. And like a lot of those guys are just like as superficial as they come in terms of like the way they relate to media and whatnot. And Ahmed, for better or worse, it's always thinking very deeply about what he's writing. So, you know, if both the deep thinkers and the shallow thinkers are, you know, I don't want to say shallow thinkers, but you know, the deep thinkers and the people who aren't thinking about it that deeply, you know, are both like really into the Black Bolt series, then I gotta check it out, you know. Okay. Tevia says, True, Saladin Ahmed's Black Bolt was really good, and Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur, and Miss Marvel, but everything else, not much because Mosaic was a train wreck. Oh, does Saladin Ahmed also write Mosaic? I didn't read it. It looked dumb. Tevia says, I love Mark Waid's Flash book. It's really awesome and badass. I agree. On Miss Marvel, I would be less salty on the show if she still had a good comic ongoing currently. You have no idea how much backlash Saladin got when he did the infamous Nakia Zoe Trader arc. Well, I don't have any idea how bad the backlash was. I wasn't paying attention. For me, as soon as G. Willow Wilson left the book, I just stopped reading. I thought she gave everyone a perfect ending, so I just didn't feel the need to read beyond that. Yeah, dude. I also feel bad for a lot of Miss Marvel fans, because I've seen a lot of people tell Miss Marvel fans to just shut the fuck up and stop complaining because your favorite character got adapted to screen. Which is hilarious and ironic because a lot of the same people who, like, did nothing but bitch and moan about Zack Snyder's take on Superman and Batman and the Titans TV show and a lot of the CW shows, a lot of those same people are the same ones who are, like, walking around to, like, Miss Marvel fans and Thor fans and, you know, the Marvel fans who are fans of just material that's being adapted very shittily. They tell them to like shut up, and it's like, okay, but you better keep that energy. You know, just saying, or else you're gonna get fucking called out for it. Tevi says, I'm really hoping the Philip Kennedy Johnson can retcon all of Bendis's terrible Superman run out of existence. Well, someone did ask him that on Twitter, and he said he wasn't going to do that, but, you know, so far he's making all the weird changes work, so more power to him. Tevi says Al Ewing's Venom run is a mess. That's a damn shame. I still think WandaVision was the best Disney Plus show. I don't know. I mean, I guess, I guess, I guess you can say that. I mean, I haven't been a fan of any of the Disney Plus Marvel shows, but you know, I guess not being the worst is pretty decent. Um, Supreme says on the MCU, ironically enough, a lot of their efforts in Phase 3 and especially Phase 4 seem to go against Marvel Comics' original thesis of the world outside your window. Yeah. Yeah, like 100%. I have nothing clever or interesting to add. Just yes, I agree with that statement. Um, Supreme says one Ennis is he is really good at war comics. I recommend his Battlefield series. I like that Ennis doesn't romanticize war. That too. I would also check out War Stories. Um, yeah. War Stories is also really good. I haven't heard of Battlefields, but I'll check that out. Ennis also writes a great Punisher. Yes, he does. In fact, he writes the only Punisher that's worth reading, in my opinion. Uh, and yeah, I guess the final chat here is shame Saladino Med's Miles Morales run isn't great. I think I said all I need to say about Miles last week. I'm gonna just leave it at that. But Supreme says on Black Panther, I recommend the 70s Jungle Action series by Don McGregor. He is the true daddy of Black Panther mythos with the creation of Killmonger. Priest is a fan. Well, I have read some of the Don McGregor material from the 70s. I think they're really good comics. Just really fucking dynamic and really interesting. Yeah, brother. Like I really kind of fucks with a lot of the classic Black Panther material. And you brought up Priest. Priest is an absolute godsend. I think Priest's run on Black Panther is magnificent. Supreme says 70s Marvel is wild, and Bronze Age is the best age. Well, I think 18 is the best age, if we're just gonna be honest. Kidding. I think I really shouldn't make those jokes while my face is on camera. But yeah, no. I definitely do think that the 70s, like the 80s, those are like the best time periods for Marvel Comics. Just in terms of pure quality. But yeah, I guess those are all the chats. Anyways, well, I'm gonna dip because I'm tired as fuck. So hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this content, all you gotta do is hit the like button. Share, support the channel. If you want to see more content like this, all you gotta do is subscribe. I am the mystical Green Beanie. You are an amazing viewing audience. And until next time, adios, nachos, adios. Why did I wink before fuck, whatever. Just gotta do the thing. Bye, have a beautiful night.